Let me just see if it is working. Okay, well, it says here that it's going to start in 3 minutes. Actually, in 1 minute. Okay, so let me see here. We are about to start in 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to click. So does anybody see us on Facebook? Because it should be going live in a second.
Going live in 0.
Cool. Okay, yes, we are live. Awesome. Love it. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is great. It's a technical experiment to some extent that we're learning how to do this. So anyway, my name is Etan Ilfeld. I'm the chief organizer and managing director of the Mind Sports Olympiad, and it's a pleasure to have a bunch of champions here with us. So let's see. I believe everybody should be seeing the same screens, and so we've got on the left here, or actually, why don't I spotlight each? So here we've got Andris Kuusk from Estonia, who has won the event, the Pentamind World Championship, I believe 4 times. I believe. Is that right, Andris?
That's true, 4 times.
4 times. He's going for the record 5th, which is what Demis Hassabis has done, who is the CEO of DeepMind. So five wins is the most. And let me go to James Heppell, who, hold on. James Heppell has won the event, I believe, twice, and he's here in England. Welcome, James.
Hi.
Cool. And then we've also got Ankush Khandelwal.
Hey guys.
Hey, here in the UK, we've got in Venice, Dario Toffoli, who's won the event twice. I think you're muted, but you can unmute in a sec. We'll come back to you, Dario.
Okay.
Cool. Hey. And Martin Hobemagi, who has won the junior Pentamine and has taken second in the overall championship. So from Estonia as well. So some really amazing champions. This is the Mind Sports Olympiad trophy. This is what everybody's going for. And they're going to share with you tips on how to master board games, how to be a board game champion, and we'll learn about them. Several of the people here tonight are poker professionals, so we found a game where they can also make a living while still playing other games. And yeah, it's awesome to be amongst a crowd that just loves games. So before we get into it and we share all these tips, I thought I would just show a little clip that I've got. We actually so this is being streamed as part of Gen Con, and we're very fortunate to also have a documentary in the Gen Con Film Festival called Pentamind, about the Pentamind World Championship, which is our crown jewel. That's what this is all about. And so I'm going to just show a snippet of the very beginning of that film, so you can get an idea of what our tournament is all about. So hopefully this will work. Here we go. I am sharing screen, and I'm going to go to Vimeo, and here we are.
The Pentamine is for people that play everything. It's quite different from any other competition. It involves many different games. Very different games that involve very different skills.
As a per gamer, I mean everything. It is the World Championships.
If you wanted to show yourself to be the best games player, you have to win the Pentamind.
I would like further to declare the Mind Sports Olympiad open
and invite Grandmaster King to make his first move.
Ready, everyone?
Bravo!
Our ambition was to create an Olympics for the mind. Absolutely huge, internationally giant, the greatest mental sports festival the world had ever seen.
It's been called the biggest gathering of anoraks ever. Experts in chess, backgammon, bridge, and other more obscure mind games. These first ever intellectual Olympics have attracted contestants from 30 countries. Top players in, for example, African Aware.
It's amazing. There's like thousands of people, all the top games players around the world in all the different games. All the top chess players are there, all the top fellow players, Go players. It was really exciting. The Pentamind is the competition to find the all-round best games player at the MSO. Effectively, it's pick your best 5 results from 5 different games. And the person that has the most points at the end of the MSO is the Pentamind champion.
Okay, so let's continue back and get back into the stream. So I'm also doing all the tech here. But cool. So yeah, that's as you can see, the Mind Sports Olympiad has been around since 1997. We've got games already back then. You had Catan. You had the Pentamind World Championship already back in '97. I believe, Dario, you were at the 1997 Mind Sports Olympiad, right? Oh, you need to unmute yourself, please. Sorry. you're still muted.
Oh.
There we go. Oh, right.
Can you repeat that? It was a bit laggy.
I think Dario's still on mute.
You hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. I was there since the very first edition. 1997 was a very wonderful one, a surprising one. I found a leaflet in Essen, in the Games Fair in Essen, and immediately decided I have to take part in this. And since then, I took part maybe at 20 edition, 19, 20 edition. And it was always fun, always fun.
Cool. I should say Dario is a games publisher, so he's also designed games and he publishes games, and he loves games, and he plays all games. So, do you remember, Dario, what games did you participate in back in '97? Do you remember what play?
In 1997, I started with Mastermind. I remember the silver in Mastermind. And then I played Twixt with Alex Randolph and Demis Hassabis and George Hassabis, and I met these incredible guys there. I immediately realized that Demis was, it was 20 years old, something like that, but immediately realized that it was very different from everyone else I played with. Really was a mission to play with them. I learned so quickly. And then maybe, I don't know, I played some other, but not many. Then I realized what the whole event was about, and since the second year, I started to play everything possible.
Well, I want to say what's amazing about you guys is that you've mastered lots of games. So, for example, I know that Andres and Ankush are both chess masters, bridge masters, poker masters, amongst many other games. And so all of you have been able to learn games really deeply. And there are so many games there. So actually, let me switch over to James for a sec. And James, maybe you can tell us, you've won the Pentamine twice, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about how because the Pentamine is not just about winning, singular events, which is very important, but it's about building an array of medals that will give you the best 5 scores in the entire tournament. yeah, how do you choose how to meta game something like that? That's kind of like a bigger strategy overall. How do you plan that?
Yeah, I definitely think that's an important aspect. So I think as soon as the schedule comes out, many months before the event, it's a great chance to have a look at all the games that are on offer. I think because it's normally jam-packed into 1 week, you've got lots of options and lots of choices about which games you might want to play. There are always clashes for games that you're good at, and days that there might not be anything good on that you kind of want to play. So it's a real kind of strategy for picking the right kind of games that you're going to enter and compete in over the week. And so, I always like to get a little spreadsheet going and plan exactly which games are going to play, make sure, with the Pentamine formula, you need to enter a variety of different events. You need to have long events and short events. And I think you need to kind of maximize your chances among all the different games that are out there. So although you can obviously change events throughout the week, so it's about kind of keeping sharp and making sure you've still got good events left that you can compete in and get good scores in. I think recently, over the past 2 years, the scores have been getting higher and higher every year, so it's been getting more and more difficult to win. So you really have to have mastered, at least 5 events to get 5 really good scores to win the overall Pentamine. Just coming second or third in 5 events isn't enough. You actually have to win outright a lot of these games as well. But I definitely think planning is one of the first kind of aspects that I always look to when the Mind Sport starts.
So I think you won the event last time in, was it 2017?
Yeah, 2017 and 2015.
And what were the games in 2017 that you had your best results in?
It was a while ago now. I think Lines of Action has always been a really good game for me. So a chess-like game, or I played on a chessboard with checkers. I think I played Superfoot that year. Mensa Connections, probably Cribbage for one of the years. Often I'll enter quite a few of the poker events because you can often get quite a good score and do quite well. You just need a little bit of luck on your side to do that. But I think considering you only need 5 events and you're maybe entering 20 over the week, as long as you're entering lots of events and you've got a good chance in enough of them, you should be able to, you're in with a shot at least of winning, which is what I quite like to put myself in that position. At least I had a chance to do well. And I think in 2015 and 2017, a lot of the dice rolls went my way. I picked up a lot of good cards, and I think that all combined nicely, managing to picking up those 2 wins, really.
Didn't you also do well in Agricola?
Yeah, I think in 2017 came joint first in Agricola, which was really, really good for my Mind Sports score. I really enjoy that game. I played a lot of 2-player when I was a student at university. And I think it's just things like that where you might have played a game, because all of us have such a love for games, we play games throughout all parts of our life. And it's not just, recent years that you've studied certain games to become really good at. And I think it's kind of taking all of that experience and putting it together and competing in the games that you love at the Mind Sports each year.
That's cool. And okay, so actually let's switch over for a sec to, it's a little bit of an echo here. Let's switch to Andres. Andres, so you've won it 4 times. You've got the, guys, maybe if everybody can mute, but Andres feels sick. We'll come back. Sorry, apologies about the echo. We're all still just learning how to do this. But Andres, can you tell us how do you learn? Can you tell us how did you win the Pentamine? Because like I said, you here have won it 4 times. How do you master games? What's the secret?
To be honest, I think the main secret is just dedication and work ethic, just willingness to improve and get better. So every time that I lose a game, I take this not as something as a bad sign, but something that I can learn from, and something that I can use in order to improve my game, to figure out why I lost this game, what my opponent did better than I did, and then next time already play better because of this extra knowledge from this game. So I have always tried to be well prepared and be kind of a step ahead of most of the rivals. Try to figure out some new ideas in some of the games. I think I have came up with some nice ideas in some of the games like Entropy and Poku that other players were not aware of back then, and that's why I got this kind of competitive advantage for at least some time. Of course, unfortunately, other strong players pay attention. So if somebody wins a couple of years in a row, then people start paying attention of what he is doing differently, and then kind of start copying this strategy and figuring out how to beat this strategy. So you cannot really use the same tricks for too long. But then again, if others catch up, then you try to innovate again, try to find something new again. So always try to be a step ahead. Always try to be the one who the others need to follow, not the one who follows the others.
So if I can interject, it sounds like you're about learning, and you actually take losses as an opportunity, because often, a lot of competitive people don't like losing, but being able to learn from losses is probably one of the most important tools. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. I cannot say that I like losing, but I'm like taking losses, even tough losses, I think relatively easily. I think much more easily than average people. So maybe it's because I know that you actually learn more from losses than you learn from wins. So yeah, I don't enjoy losing, but I don't take them as something like drastically bad. And
do you analyze your losses deeply then, in order to kind of do the most out of them? Do you really go back and work on trying to figure out what happened?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm really motivated and try to really improve myself, then I really can go very deep into the games I've played and have lost. But this of course depends on the motivation that one currently has. Usually, if I win the Pentamine, then next year I'm less motivated to put in hard work, because maybe it seems that I can win anyway. But if I lose several years in a row, then and Ankush beats me like by 20 or 30 points every year, then it kind of hurts, and then I'm more motivated to work harder and try harder to catch up and learn something that I haven't known before.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting how we motivate ourselves. And obviously, if you were to win another Pentamine match, Demis, then maybe you would be less motivated. I was speaking recently with Ben Pridmore, who runs our memory championship, and he won the Memory World Championship several times. And he told me that after he won the Memory World Championship, I think it was 3 times, and the 3rd time, I think he won it without actually practicing that hard, because he was so far ahead of the pack. And he just really lost motivation, and he didn't know what to do with himself. And then finally, at some point, he found this new goal, which was to memorize pi to 50,000 digits. He thought that would be a fun challenge, and he started training. And he was ready to do that at the Mind Sports Olympiad as a sort of interesting demo for the Guinness Book of Records. But apparently, a few weeks right before that, somebody from Japan broke the record even further, because at the time the record was 42,000 something, whatever number of meters there are in a marathon. It was 42,000 something, and he was going to take it to 50,000. And someone just did 80,000. So that kind of took the wind out of his sail, and he kind of just like backed off in the end, didn't do it. But apparently he had it prepared. He was ready to go to 50,000. But one gets less motivated when someone else is pushed farther, I guess.
Yes, I mean, competition is always good in a way that it pushes you always, it always pushes you going on. Otherwise, you can really lose your motivation, and it's really hard sometimes to keep going and to stay motivated and try to work hard. So I think usually that's why I like the kind of hard competition that we have right now, because this thanks to this I have been able to keep going strong. Otherwise, probably I would not have worked nearly as hard during the recent years as I had done. So I think nowadays the competition for Pentamine is maybe stronger than ever, just because everybody is kind of making another step forward and by doing this, pushing everybody else also to trying to improve their game. Basically, same thing as we see in men's tennis right now. That's why Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer are so good, because they're kind of pushing each other all the time. So
absolutely,
it makes it hard for everybody else to catch up.
That's true. Yeah, I love chess. It's amazing, actually. Again, that's a great example of Federer and well, he's the oldest by far. Nadal and Djokovic are also in their 30s. But I mean, you just brought that up, and I just wonder, do you think maybe I'll go to Dario on this, but does age play a factor in trying to win tournaments like this?
Definitely, it plays a huge role. I think I'm not even 40 yet, but I think I already feel that age is kind of a constraint. Mainly because of the energy level. I think I understand the games better than ever, and I think actually Dario also is kind of understanding the games better than ever, because you learn all the time, you get new experience. But with age, you are not able to put 100% of your energy into the games all the time, and on top level, this makes a huge difference whether you can put 100% in or just 98. It just makes a big difference.
That's a good note to transition to Dario. So before, I'd love to hear what you think about age, because Dario, you won the Pentamine twice, and it was a decade apart. And I think when you won it the second time, I think it was in 2012, that was, I think you're the oldest person on record to have won the Pentamine, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I won the second time when I was 59. And speaking about age, the age is something. It's very heavy. It's very difficult to play at my age. It's no more possible to compete with this fantastic player we have this evening with us. And I only now compete for the senior Pentamine. It's quite different competing 20 years ago and now for me. If it's in some way difficult for others at 40, imagine me. So I still honored to be part of this group at my age.
You're still winning a lot of medals, and you have.
Oh yeah, not a lot. I win some medal, and I'm happy with that. But obviously, I think my opponent, Ankush, Andres, James, they are much stronger now than me. Much complete player. They are really, really, really good complete players. So, for example, they all came from chess, and I'm not coming from chess. And so when I have to choose one game, I do not choose a chess-like game, because I think I have no chance to beat them in that kind of territory. So I do prefer to choose, also because I like more playing this kind of game, where there are both skill and luck. Games like backgammon, for example. Every move you have to make a hard decision, no matter where the situation is good or bad. You have always to try the best. It's a lot of decision, every move. And if your decisions are better than average, in the long run, you win something. And when you play skill and luck, you can have waves of good luck and wave of bad luck. But if you are still always above average, when you have the good wave, you can really score high. And that happened to me, for example, in 2012 when I won the second Pentamine unexpectedly because I was already 59. And I think I played quite well, but I have a good wave in this kind of games. So I won some medals and won some tournament, and that gave me the Pentamine. So it's just a way to perform the opportunities. That's my approach to the Olympics. And also the other key, in my opinion, is the flexibility. You have to try to apply what you learn in one game to another game, to the other games. For example, just make an example, it's not just strategies, but the whole approach. For example, in poker, you try to read your opponent. And that's typical of poker. But I found very useful to try to read the opponent not only in poker, of course in poker, but not only in poker, also in other kind of games. Try to reading their pattern and also their behavior. Try to forecast what kind of move they can make and decide my move based on what I think of they. And that was very useful, especially in 2012, give me some winning. So it's very, very important, the flexibility. And also, speaking about Pentamine, the flexibility, accordingly how you are doing during the week, you have to be flexible in changing your plan. Maybe you spend 1 week preparing one tournament, but the situation now changed, and you have to be ready to change and play another tournament, different. Flexibility, I think, is a key for this kind of competition. That's it.
Cool. Thanks, Dario. That's really cool. I'm also reading the comments. I'm starting to watch for questions because we're going to get to a Q&A next. But so that's great. And I think maybe my sound isn't perfect, so I'm going to speak a little bit more slowly. Yeah, no, I think that is fascinating. I wonder, actually, this is like a good segue to go to Ankush. Ankush, maybe you can also talk about, Dario mentioned luck and in different ways. Well, I think maybe there's a little bit of noise, maybe there's an echo on me. But can you talk about a little bit about how, I guess, two things. One is how to go really deep in a game and really learn. But then also, how does that apply, especially in games of luck? Because you're a professional poker player, that's how you make your living, right? How do you master games that have dice, for example? I mean, Catan is an example of that as well. What is the approach there?
I don't think there's anything special about games with luck compared to, like, I think there's just a spectrum of different games. Some games have like a huge amount of skill with very little luck, and others have like quite a lot of luck, and there's only like a certain amount of how good you can get, or there's only like a certain win rate you can achieve, and it's up to the dice otherwise. I don't think there's anything particularly special. In terms of going deep in a game, for me, it's just about just having a huge passion for a game. It's like when you play a game, you just sort of, for me, the experience is I want to learn how to play better or what I could do better, and it's almost an obsession sometimes. I play a game like tens or hundreds of times, and I'd really like to improve my strategy. One thing you really need to do is not have an ego about your strategy. You need to like really look at it with a clear head, because I see sometimes people getting upset, or they might blame luck sometimes, but I always trying to see how I could have played better instead of because luck will always be part of some games. You're never going to win. Sometimes you're destined to win, even if you don't play as well as you could. Yeah, I'd say that's my answer.
That's cool. I mean, so one thing about you that kind of comes to mind, maybe it applies to everybody else, but sometimes I think of you also trying to find ways to break the game, as in find like those like those edge kind of those where maybe a game is hasn't been that well designed, and there are ways you can take advantage of it to win. Finding those very creative, I should say, strategies. You're always, it seems like you're always trying to find ways to look at games from a different point of view. How do you do that?
I didn't really realize I had that quality.
I think you do.
I don't think there's an opportunity for that in most games, maybe in like a few. I guess just always look at all your available options and try and see like a path to victory. And maybe you'll surprise yourself and you'll think of a strategy you might not have thought of otherwise.
Let's take, for example, Seven Wonders. You're quite strong at Seven Wonders, right?
Yeah.
Would you say you probably one of the stronger people in the world, like in Seven Wonders, right?
I mean, I would say so, but I've not played against the best in the world, I guess. I have a pretty good win rate at it.
So, how many, like, are you very able to pivot? Do you know, like, all the different strategies in that game? How versatile would you say that you are?
Yeah, so I think some games are just incredibly difficult to master just because the game tree is huge. Or there's like a lot of stuff going on. Like even a game like Corridor, which has got very simple rules, the game tree is massive. It's a chess-like game, and yeah, it's going to be very difficult to become elite. A game like Seven Wonders, there's only like a specific number, like there's only a certain number of moves you have to make during the whole game. There's like 18 cards you play, and the choices you have are usually between like 2 or 3 per turn. So I'd say that if you really analyze each decision and see like which cards led to victory, you could really sort of break down which cards are the highest value picks just from playing the game multiple times. So that's my approach with games that are sort of easier to master, I'd say.
Cool. And so I guess before I move on to someone else, come back. I'm just wondering, now that you've got this is a unique mindset. This applies to everyone to some extent. Actually, if everyone could just mute for a sec. Sorry, maybe I've got. There we go. Okay. So I mean, this is the very first time that the Mind Sports Olympiad A is totally online and B free. So it's going to be just massive numbers, right? And it's going on for an entire month. So first, I wonder, Ankush, what do you think the odds are of somebody that hasn't been to Mind Sports Olympiad before winning, a total newcomer? I mean, we had, for example, Lumen Sperlin, who's a very strong player, and I think he came 5th overall a few years ago. That was his first time, and he's an amazing all-around player. What do you think the odds are of someone actually winning the Mind Sports Olympiad this year that's never attended before?
I mean, I don't know who's out there. Like, this is definitely possible. I'm sure there are some great games players who compete at a high level of games online, but they've never come before. So, yeah, I'm excited to play against them. Yeah, as you said, Lumen, he's a very strong games player. He could easily win it. I mean, there's also a lot of new events this year, so I don't know who the specialists are going to be, how tough each event is going to be. I know some of them will be incredibly tough. But yeah, I'm excited to see.
Yeah. How are you going to plan your month? Are you going to be also still playing some poker for money during August? Or are you going to be focusing totally on the Mind Sports Olympiad? Because obviously there are rest days, and you designed it so that people could still work if they wanted to. What's your approach?
So for me, poker is somewhat cyclical. The games that I play, I'm a professional poker player, and it depends how high stakes the games are that are running. That will determine whether I choose to play or not. And recently, there's not actually been a huge amount of high stakes action, so it's given me a little bit more time to prepare for these games. But for instance, last year, throughout the Mind Sports, I was playing poker at night just because there were some very high stakes cash games I needed to play, or I felt like I needed to play. So maybe that's going to pop off again, but we'll see.
Wow. Crazy. It's insane that you're able to win the Pentamine and play some other things in your free time when it was all crammed into 8 days instead of being spread over a month. That's insane. So wow, it's crazy. All right, let's switch over to Martin. Hi, Martin. Welcome. So Martin has taken second. He's also taken third, I believe. Was it last year third as well?
Yes.
you've won the junior Pentamind. So tell us, what's your approach to winning, to studying, and how do you approach games?
Well, my background is also I'm a Kuusk player, so it's kind of similar to chess players, and I started really young. We also play like many other games, and before I came to MSO, I already thought that I'm quite good at many games. But the MSO gave me a chance to see if it's really true or not.
It's cool. And why? And by the way, you I think are an example to some extent of Andrus's of Andrus being a role model, because there's quite a bunch of players in Estonia that are very strong and have come to our tournament and performed very well. Would you say that Andrus has kind of mentored you over the years, or how? Tell us a little bit about what is it that why are you guys so strong? There is some sort of cluster, there.
Well, we have those weekends where we all come together and play different games and try to get better. And also, as Andrus said, he often after he comes to the tournaments and loses, he goes maniac and makes very deep analysis. And to Estonians, he has always been very open about it. And for example, Poku, I think without Andrus, I would definitely haven't won that game so many times. And Andrus did I think I have advantage because Kuusk is quite similar to Poku, but Andrus did all the analysis for me, and so I know what are the best moves, and after that I can I have advantage in front of others.
So you mean the opening theory?
Yeah.
You've got a lot of theory. So before you even have to start thinking, you usually will come out with a very, very good position.
Yes.
That's just really, really deep preparation. That's super, super cool. So, okay, well, we're going to just to ask everybody a little bit of stuff before we open up to a Q&A. I think people here, it could be interesting to find out a little bit about what you guys are doing, where you are in life. So for example, Martin, if you could just tell everyone, what are you up to right now? Where are you in life? What are you doing these days outside of board games?
Outside board games, I'm studying finance in Tartu. It's the second biggest city in Estonia. So that's usually, if I'm not playing board games, I am studying finance and trying to get better there.
Cool. And I think, Andrus, didn't you study or teach? You had a PhD in Tartu, I believe, or something, or you were once a professor there. Is that right? Oh, I think you're muted. Let you unmute for.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. I was. I have PhD in economics from the University of Tartu, and I was a professor there for some years. But at some moment, I decided that it's now time to make a switch and go to the private sector. So now I'm a VP in a fintech company that is called Pandora, a great company that offers nice investment opportunities. So if you want to have 6.75%, go to pandora.com and become an investor.
Cool. It's a good pitch, and it is a cool company. So that's cool. And what about you, Dario? Make sure you unmute. Tell us what is your day-to-day kind of all about?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah. So the question is, what do you do? What is your profession? What do you do when you're not competing in the mic space? Or what is your career? So
my life is with games. I founded this Studio Jockey. It's a company that makes develop new board games, and also we publish a lot of games in magazines, newspaper pages, and wool magazines about puzzle and every kind of games. And we write about games and books. We organize games events, and I try to do in life what we like. That's what we do.
Cool. So, and I think Marco Polo is one of your games as well, right?
Yeah, Marco Polo. We also run a competition for new games, unpublished game, since 1992. And in this competition, many winners became real product, and some hit the market very well. One of these was Marco Polo. I think Marco Polo won the competition in 2012 or 2014, because it's every 2 years. And then it was published by the Hansing Gluck and was very well received by the market and won an international prize. So that's really a satisfaction, because it all started with a competition for new authors and new games that we organized. So is that what we want? Put together minds in games and develop the culture of games, things like that.
Cool. Well, you're a great ambassador, I have to say, for games in general, Dario. And what about you, James? Well, what are you up to these days? You've also got a bit of a PhD as well.
Yes, I've got. I did my PhD in maths at Southampton University, and then I kind of sideways into a software developer job that I've been doing for about 4 or 5 years now. And so I lead a team of about 5 or 6 software developers in a biotech company called Cyprotex, which is really fun. And I've always had a big interest of games. I've played chess from a very young age, since I was 4. And I think through playing chess competitively, that's really given me a love of playing games competitively, and learning new games, learning the rules, learning how I can not bend the rules, but find an advantage based on those rules. And that's where I kind of fell in love with the mind sports and just all the variety and all the different games that you can play, and the great competition.
Cool. So, okay, I'm gonna let's see here. And hold on, I haven't get and Ankush, you mentioned that you're a poker professional. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that for a second as well, so we round out everyone?
Sure. So I've been a poker professional for 6 years. I play high stakes cash games online from home, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I play a lot of other games as well. Bridge is a game I take very seriously. It's one of my favorite games too. And yeah, I guess outside from games, I also like to play lots of sports, watch sports, and yeah, just hang out with friends.
Good. Okay, so one of the questions that we've got here, the several questions, but one was, it goes again about learning from losses, and how do you really go in and deeply analyze a loss and learn from it. Maybe, obviously, Andrew's talking a little bit about that. I'd love to hear how, from some of the other people, what anyone can just take over and talk about how you learn from losses. How do you come back stronger?
I can go.
Yeah.
I think you have to not take it personally. You have to kind of step aside from the game, because you can be quite invested. Especially if that game was maybe a final match. It means the difference between first place or a score that's not going to be good enough in the finish line. You kind of need to take a break and chill out. And I think that kind of distance yourself so that it doesn't drag you down for the rest of your games. It's only one game, you've still got lots of other chances, and I think you can't do anything about it then or there. Have a good night's sleep, and then you do your post-analysis and think about what you've done wrong, how you can improve next time, and that kind of comes much later. I think it's just that kind of being able to not get too invested within that one game.
Cool. So that makes all sense. So hold on, if everyone can just mute unless you're going to talk, that'll be good, because there's a lot of feedback there. But yeah, no, that's great. Another question that's come up is people want to know, how do you kind of test yourself to find out how strong you are by playing online? How much do you guys play online in order to train? Because obviously, Andres, you've got this super cluster, where you guys play a lot of games, on over the board. But I'm wondering, for everyone else, it could also be this is for Martin and Andres. How much do you train online?
For example, I usually don't play online. Now I have to learn a lot of platform or get used to play this game, but it's fun. It's a new challenge. But I think in this period, my effort is more in practicing the platform.
The interface, mastering the interface.
Yeah, it's not easy at my age learning all these different platforms. So, but it's a new challenge. It's fun.
We've got a lot of big thank you to all our hosts. We've got a lot of platforms hosting us this year, including Board Game Arena.
Board Game Arena is a very friendly one. There are other less friendly.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Actually, at some point, we're going to have the artistic director of Board Game Arena interviewed later on another day, because I do think they've done a pretty good job. And he's quite awesome.
It's very nice to discover how many players, how many games can be played online. So it's the big thing in this year, especially this 2020, the developing of playing board games online is really the phenomenon of this time.
And Paul Smith actually just. Oops. Sorry, that's great. So thank you. Paul Smith was just asking, I see a question here about, because it's online, this is on the same thing. How do you prepare differently? Is there, in terms of your training, so maybe hold on, if everybody wants to mute, unless you want to jump in, sorry, because there's, again, feedback. So in terms of, if anyone wants to just jump in, the question is, now that it's online, how does it change the preparation also? Obviously, you have to prep more online, but how does it change it?
I can take this one. Maybe I would say that with Corona, there are even more tournaments than usual. For example, the sites where I play, there are many, as we were saying before, we almost know what games we are going to play on the MSO weekend or month. So, for example, I am playing those tournaments online, what I want to practice. And I think right now, especially this year, there are extra tournaments what you can play and get better.
Yeah, makes sense. A lot of people are staying home. That's cool. So playing more online. Are you guys afraid of cheating? By the way, this is something that we wonder about. Obviously, now that everything's online, is that something that you worry about? Obviously, we're going to do our best to police against cheating, but what do you guys think about that?
I'll take this one, I guess.
Everybody else can mute. That would be great.
I think that for a lot of games, it's even difficult to cheat. Like, what do you cheat with? Like, what are you going to use? It's not like there's a solver for, a lot of different games. For instance, like poker has been played online for money for many years, and there have been, for the most part, it's quite a clean game, and people, they can't use external assistance to help them play better. They can to an extent, but ultimately, you need to choose what moves to make on the board, and I don't think cheating can help. Maybe it can in certain games, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think for the most games, I don't see it as an issue.
Cool. I mean, it's interesting. For example, League Chess, which is where we're hosting all of our chess events, and they're a wonderful platform. They're going to be analyzing all of the games. And they've actually asked us to wait a few days before confirming the winners, just so that their servers have enough time to process and analyze all the games to catch cheating. Because in chess, the algorithms are very very advanced in detecting whether or not a human is playing like a computer, both in terms of the tempo and the accuracy. So I think it's going to be quite hard for people to cheat in games like chess. Okay, Dario, you're not sure, but so go ahead and unmute yourself. Unmute, please. I'd love to hear what you think.
I think people will find a way to cheat in many games. Temptation is, but I hope they will be catched.
Yeah.
I think
because they cut all the fun.
Yeah, cheating's not cool. Sorry, James.
With a lot of algorithms nowadays, they'll be able to easily, like you were saying with live chess, they'll easily be able to find out if someone's playing much stronger than they claim to be. And I think for a lot of the Euro games that are online, actually being online is a drastic improvement, because you don't have to move all the little pieces, do all the counting. The computer does it all for you, and it means that actually you're probably going to be making less mistakes, because often in games you might forget one little action point or one little move here for a different cube, and this way it definitely keeps it fair. Everyone knows, the computer's handling the system, being the banker. So I actually think it will be a really good improvement for a lot of the Euro-style games.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, whether it's intentional or just making a mistake, things can happen when you have a lot of pieces. And I think in many ways having a computer enforce rules is quite a nice improvement. And yeah, there are a lot of games where it's going to be very hard to do in some games where we can detect it. But it's a big question. We're entering this as a huge experiment, and we'll be doing our best to. But you're probably right, Dario. Probably some people might try. I hope not. And as you say, hopefully we'll have it as clean as possible. It's kind of funny to have chess servers analyzing things. It's almost like doping tests. Results come after the event. Are there any other kind of worries that you guys have going into this year's Mind Sports Olympiad, or I don't know, or not even worries, things you're looking forward to?
I think I agree with James that there's a lot of games. It is actually very good that they are played online. Mainly those that have tons of different small tiles or pieces that otherwise can fall down and roll around. And just to avoid kind of human mistakes, if you just accidentally push something to the wrong square or something, because in the internet it's just impossible to, for example, it's impossible to make a wrong move in chess or in other games. So, and it speeds up a lot of games significantly, because it takes away the time that it takes for humans, I don't know, to set up the board or to shuffle cards or whatever, to count points. All of these are going to be done automatically. So it speeds up some games significantly, which is very, very important, because you can sometimes have an extra round because of it. And but what comes to cheating, then unfortunately I have to agree with Dario that we cannot assume that nobody is going to try cheating. Definitely there are going to be people who are going to try it. So this is the negative side, but the positive side is that most likely this will not affect the overall medals, just because if somebody completely unknown suddenly starts winning some game that they have not done well previously, this is suspicious. So people will start looking through their games and see whether they make the same kind of moves as computer does. And luckily, there are not in most of the games there are no good engines that you can use. For example, as Ankush said, Euro games, there are no engines that help you playing Euro games. So there are only very few of those games where you can actually use engine. And well, the other idea of cheating is not to use engine, but to use other person. But there, luckily, again, this only affects like places from 10th or 20th or something like that, because James has no help if somebody tries to help him in lines of action. It just doesn't help. He's probably the best player in the world, so there is no way how he can use anybody's help. And if somebody who is not a strong player uses the help of somebody else, they are still not going to beat James. So luckily, probably will not really affect the top three. In the Pentamine, but I also am pretty certain that at least somebody will try it, because if there are medals involved, always somebody will try to beat the system and do something.
Yeah. Well, on that note, actually, let me just show. I think people might have seen, but here's how the medals look. So we've got the medals for this year. And they were made before the pandemic, so they say London 2020. But we will have medals, and people can win medals. And I think they're great. But let me just answer a few more things here. Laura Beck was saying, "What's my favorite thing about working at MSO?" So I love the Mind Sports Olympiad. I love games, and it's awesome. I'm outside this. I also publish books, so it isn't my full-time job. But for me, it's the highlight of my year. I love hanging out with cool people like all of you guys tonight, and just being with people that love games. And I love to play, and I love to learn new games. It's fun to put together a program. I mean, this year we did something very special. We wanted to make a program that's accessible to everyone, that's online, that's free, and we had to choose games that we thought would work well. And thanks, Laura. Thanks for complimenting on the medals. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's just great to meet so many smart people that are curious and love to play games. I see George Romit Topkin, who also has done very well actually at the Mind Sports Olympiad. But he asks, how would you guys value your success if you were to win this year? And I assume what he means is, would that be as impressive as winning it on another year, or would it be more impressive? How you guys, the fact that it's online, does it count for less? How do you approach it?
I'd say if anything it counts, it's going to be even tougher this year. I think there's far more events and there's lots of different new events, and I think also because it's over the whole month, different strategies are gonna come into play. And the fact before it was only 1 week, it's nice and intensive, and you can take the time off and devote completely your time to that 1 week. Whereas, a lot of us have full-time jobs and are doing other things. So the fact that it's over a month, you kind of got to dive in and out, lose focus, gain focus. And I think that'll make it a very different style of competition, which, I think going online gives us loads of great opportunities. And if it does become a common thing, I think that would be brilliant alongside the physical venue. I think it is a shame, obviously, that we can't play physically. And I think I do prefer that element rather than playing online. But I think it's certainly a great opportunity, and really hope it brings in loads and loads more players.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope so too. And again, like I said, this is a big experiment. Who knows? Knock on wood, all goes well. Maybe we'll have 2 times of the year. One will be an online championship, and one will be an offline physical one. I don't know. So we'll see. Gia Syed here was asking, how do we choose what games are in the MSO? And we try and keep it, really well balanced. We've got a bunch of Euro games. We've modeled this year a lot based on the physical tournament. So in the physical tournament, we always have a Euro game during every session. This year we've got a lot of Euro games. We've got a lot of modern abstract games, some new ones that we haven't had before, like Hive, for example, which will be cool. It's interesting, it's tough to choose games. Obviously, there are games that I love to play that could never be at the Mind Sports Olympiad, like Codenames. I've played Codenames so many times, and obviously it's not really, it's a game for teams, which doesn't mean you can't have it. We've had team events, certainly pair events. So we've got bridge this time, and we've had quiz events in the past as pairs. This year, quiz will be as individuals. But Codenames, yeah, people could cheat too easily, and it's a social game. It just wouldn't work well. So we need games that are tournament worthy, I think. And you know, that's how we do it. What do you guys think in terms of how we choose the games? I'm kind of curious. Sort of what makes, you know, could Codenames be at the Mind Sports Olympiad? Let me just ask that. What do you guys think?
It doesn't really qualify as a mind sport for me, but it's a game I enjoy. I don't think it would fit well personally.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, there are again. What is a mind sports? That's a good question. It's I'm not sure it's that easy to pin down. But what is that? What's a mind sport for you, Ankush?
That's difficult. I would class Codenames as more like a party social game, and that's like distinct to Mind Sport, which is more, it's like played competitively, and there's, I don't know, maybe you could argue it's a Mind Sport. I just don't, not for me personally.
Okay, no, that's good.
Yeah, I would say Codenames is maybe more similar to a Scrabble style game, and it's also a team game. I think currently at the Mind Sports we don't have many team events. You know, you have things like cribbage pairs, bridge, where two players would both get the same score, and maybe in the future there will be more group or team events, and Codenames would certainly fit in with one of them, and it would be a word style game rather than necessarily a logic puzzle or a strategy game or other types of games.
The other thing about Codenames is you could have, if you're going to play with a predetermined partner, you know, you can create your own system.
That's what I meant. And I think that's impossible to police, I think.
But you can, well, yes and no. I mean, because with bridge as well, I know obviously it's a lot harder, but the same principle applies for games like bridge and cribbage pairs and things like that.
I would say in bridge there's like very clear restrictions on what you can and can't have it as conventions. In Codenames it's whatever you want because it's played for fun.
Yeah, I think the rules would certainly have to be refined and carefully managed, because I think without setting, like with bridge, without setting clearly defined rules, people are going to bend those rules, and therefore they'll do things to give themselves an advantage.
And when it's word association, you could always argue, like, you could come up with a system and just argue that it's logical for some reason, but it's just your own system you created. So I think there's going to be loopholes in Codenames.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. But as James says, in bridge, there was a pair that cheated for several years. They were only caught recently, and they were at the very top for many years, right? It's quite a scandal. And it was about where they placed their cards. That's how they would hint. There's something about the physical placement.
And Andres was a huge fan of them, if I remember correctly. before he knew they were cheaters.
Is that true, Andres?
We can't hear you.
Oh, still muted.
Yes. That's true. I was even playing the same system. I kind of used their system, the Italians Fantonia and Nunez, their system, which was called Fantones. And I played their system for several years, but unfortunately, without those extra little tricks that they used, I was unfortunately completely unaware of those. So I think I was not able to take full advantage of their system. So yeah, their opening leads, I think it was the one that got them caught finally, because it was, the idea was that it was this or that. Basically, the meaning of the opening, it was kind of this or that, and it was, for the opponents, it was impossible to understand which it was, but they kind of signaled to their partner by how they placed the opening lead, whether vertically or horizontally what they actually have. So this was one of the cheating methods. They shortly had more of them, but unfortunately, I was not able to use any of them while I was using this system. So.
But interestingly, they got away with it for many years. The reason they got caught was because bridge events, top bridge events, they had live streams. People were filming them, and then there were a lot of viewers who they had all this data, like this video data, where they could analyze how they were playing, and they finally got caught from viewers at home. That's what killed them.
Yeah, and then obviously we're going to be live streaming this year.
Sorry, guys, I have to leave because there's one person waiting for me.
Go for it.
It was very fun to meet you.
Yes, it's great. So we'll wrap up in a few minutes, but we'll keep going for a little bit more. But thank you, Dario. Pleasure to see you. Good luck this year.
See you, Dario.
See you, Dario.
All right. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Ciao. So
I think, Etan, that there is a team behind the Mind Sports, the arbiters, and they pick and select different games and suggest which ones to play. And I think a lot of those games have come from other competitions that people play and are popular games to bring people in. So I think it's not games aren't chosen randomly. There's a good background that goes into selecting different games and which games get picked for Mind Sports.
yeah, absolutely, and yeah, that's true. The committee helps choose, and obviously games that are harder to cheat at, those make for better tournament games. So I guess I'm just kind of curious. We've got this upcoming weekend. I heard that Ankush and Andres are going to be playing bridge this weekend. James, what are you planning to play this weekend?
So Settlers starts on the Saturday. So I'll be doing that, and depending on how well I do, I'll also play it on Sunday, or I won't.
And Sunday evening?
Yeah, so I think it's a 2-day event, and then I think there's an evening qualifier for the final. How far you go.
So Catan is going to be, there'll be a qualifier. It'll be a Swiss tournament on the Saturday. We're expecting that to be a massive challenge, actually, because everybody's going to be communicating through Discord. That's how we'll be announcing the tables, and people are going to be joining virtual tables and talking on Discord, and that's going to be really interesting from a technical point of view. And we'll be live streaming that as well, by the way, for the semifinal and the final on Sunday afternoon. But then Sunday evening you'll be free. In terms of Catan will be over by Sunday evening if you want to play Carcassonne or something else, just so you know.
I think it's a good opportunity. A lot of these games I haven't really played online before, although I enjoy playing lots of games. I normally play them with friends over a table, and I enjoy that experience a lot more than playing them online. So I will be entering obviously a number of different events, but I don't rank my chances very well this year compared to a lot of other players that may have put in a lot more preparation. So I think for me this year it's certainly going to be a lot of fun trying out some of the games online using Board Game Arena and some of the other platforms.
That's cool. Healthy approach. And how about you, Martin? I heard that you're feeling a little bit less competitive this year. What's your approach? You might want to do some commentary, but are you going to compete seriously? Or what's on your mind?
Yeah, I chose this year that I don't really like that much playing online. I like more like live games or playing behind board. So that's why I chose to maybe commentary some games and just to look how others are doing, just to root for Andres and maybe help other players to how they can play better.
Cool, that'll be cool. So yeah, it's gonna be an exciting opening weekend. In many ways, one of the most technically challenging, organizing. I think we already have like 150 people signed up for Catan. And tomorrow we've got a how to win in Catan live stream with Delighted, who's one of the stronger Catan players in the world, and Hank also, who's known as Trichosaurus, and our Catan champion Ricardo Gomez. So I think that'll be fun, and probably more people will join after that. So yeah, how do you run a tournament with, who knows, let's say 200, 300 people through Discord? We'll find out. I mean, some tournaments will be very smooth. You mentioned Board Game Arena. When everything's automated, you don't have to do anything, right? Like, same thing for a poker tournament. So as an organizer, I'll be able to relax and just let the poker tournaments run themselves. So that will be nice. But Saturday will be very tough, and then Sunday will be very interesting to do the live stream, because that also is going to be a technically challenging thing. We're going to try and make a really great live stream, and we're really going to try and create great entertainment throughout the month. That's one of our goals, is to bring a lot of our love for games to the people. Cool. So anyway, we're 10 minutes over what this is scheduled, and I know people are starting to head out, just like Dario did. Let me see if there's anything else. This is funny. Danton Hope made a joke this one. We usually get free fruit, and he joked about that. There won't be free fruit, maybe virtual fruit at this one. But he mentioned that Ankush is Djokovic. So if Ankush is Djokovic, then who is Andres? And who's James between this whole? Does the Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, analogy come into play here? Andres, what do you think? Who would be Nadal and who would be Federer then?
Well, my favorite is Federer, so I hope to be Federer. Even though I have to admit that he's kind of the oldest one and probably will win the least of the titles going on from now. So actually, I might have now that I think of it, I might have a second opinion. So maybe I would like to be Djokovic myself. So I give Federer to Ankush.
I would say you're Federer, Andres.
Yeah, you're definitely Federer.
Because you've won, quite a lot of events a while ago, and coming back into it, and slightly older than the rest of us.
The mind games are already started. I love it. Whenever we started the event, already people are trying to psych each other out, and obviously in a positive way. It's all very playful. You guys are an amazing bunch. So cool. All right. So yeah. So before we sign off, is there anything else anybody wants to kind of say? I guess I think that's kind of it, right?
Can you confirm at what time tomorrow is going to be this Catan masterclass? Maybe somebody wants to book their calendar already.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. It's going to be 10 p.m. London time, which is 5 p.m. New York time, so Eastern Daylight Savings time. So yeah, that is the time, and it will be. It's actually going to be on our YouTube channel, but I think we'll probably put it also on Facebook and cross stream it. But otherwise, go to YouTube.com/Mind Sports Olympiad. Mind Sports Olympiad, one word, and we're going to use a variety of channels. It's pretty cool. So we created a Twitch channel for the first time, which we hadn't used before. So we'll be streaming. There might even be some situations this month where we'll have two games, and we'll want to have commentary on both of them. So we might stream one on like Facebook, one on Twitch, one on YouTube. So it's nice to have multiple channels. So it's quite exciting. And by the way, let me just plug the streams. So we're going to have on Saturday, we will have Pi being live streamed with commentary, and we will have chess being live streamed with commentary, which will be fun. And then we've got Catan obviously on the Sunday, the semifinal, the final. We're going to have some chess being live streamed, and then Carcassonne being live streamed. So that is the live stream program for Saturday and Sunday. But basically, every day that there's going to be tournaments, which exclude both Mondays and Tuesdays, we will have live streams. So there's going to be a lot of good stuff to watch. Anyway, let me just say again, thank you guys. Good luck, and thank you also for being such ambassadors for games. I mean, I think it's inspiring to see how much you love games, and I know that's what everybody that's watching will enjoy. Also, everybody here loves games, and I love games, and yeah, so it's going to be great. I hope people come and try and beat you guys throughout the month of August, because you'll be there. So they can go toe to toe with you over the board, online that is. Cool. Okay, great guys. So if you stay on, I'm going to finish the broadcast. So I'll stay with you guys, and I will say goodbye.